Good afternoon, Villa fans. It's Tuesday. The game was on Sunday, and I'm still not happy. Not happy. Like the rain outside, it's really dampened my mood. I'm surprised YouTube haven't blocked me or banned me. I did drop a few F-bombs, well, just a few, on my instant match reaction when the whistle went. And yeah, this is going to be a hard one to really swallow in terms of not getting Champions League now. And Europa League it is, as I mentioned in my title, and it's because of this. No, not Emery. This incident here that we've all seen probably a million times. You know, we've seen the replay, the slowed down, close-ups of it. 100% a goal, and we are denied by a referee who shouldn't have been on the pitch, shouldn't have been reffing this magnitude of game. Obviously everyone's done a little bit of digging into Thomas Bramall and a little bit about his refereeing career. And, he's only officiated 11 games in the Premier League. Most of his experience has been in the Championship. Why was he given such a high stakes game? You have Michael Oliver, who's arguably the best ref in the Premier League, not even on refereeing duty in the final day. He's on VAR duty somewhere as a fourth official. So the PGMOL have got a lot of questions to answer, and Villa have already lodged an official complaint, which I said in my instant match reaction that would happen, needs to happen, because there needs to set an example about this. The referees, the better referees need to be assigned to the more important games, and we didn't have that here. And obviously we went on to lose the game. We were down to 10 men as well, which I'll come on to. But, given the circumstances of Newcastle losing to Everton and being 1-0 down at that point, all we needed was a point. And if you went 1-0 ahead here with Morgan Rogers and that goal stood, which it should, then the whole dynamics of the tactical game changes. You do play deeper. You might bring on another centre-back. Tyrone Mings might have come on. It could have changed everything. So for me, it still hurts that we're not going to be in the Champions League, and the ramifications of that now, given the PSR, given how close we are to our wages to expenditure ratio at the moment, it's going to mean that some big names are going to have to leave to appease the PSR rules. So we've already spoken about Emi Martinez, who looks like he's on the way out, although Emery in the pre-game said no way, in terms of when he was asked about Emery and would this be his last game. So it'd be interesting to see how the next couple of weeks shape up there. Replacements have been suggested. Lucas Chevalier and Juan Garcia from Espanyol have been highly linked. So it'd be interesting to see how the next couple of weeks go in terms of Emi Martinez. Obviously, Ollie Watkins, he's now broken the record. Has he achieved all he needs to achieve at Villa? Is it time for a new challenge for him? Arsenal might come knocking for him one more time, given his age and what he wants to do, maybe play in the Champions League himself. He might think it's time for a move. So you might be losing people like Emi Martinez, Ollie Watkins, Boubacar Kamara still negotiating the contract. Hopefully, from what I hear, it is close to being signed. But that was obviously before we didn't get Champions League. So now all of a sudden, does anything change there in his mindset? And obviously he did run his contract down at Marseille to join Villa. So, he has got experience of this. So it's going to be an interesting few weeks, guys, about what happens and who comes in, who goes. Obviously everyone's going to be off on holiday for a few weeks now. So nothing probably will happen immediately, but you can guarantee by sort of mid-June, late June, the rumors and the incomings and outgoings will start. So in earnest. So let's see. But in regards to this game, as I said, we've always struggled against United. I think sometimes Emery was playing the name of Man United and who they are rather than who they are now. If that makes sense. And he was a little bit kind of fearful with the tactics. I mean, I felt the whole game plan that we had was rubbish. And Emery has struggled with three at the back teams. Crystal Palace being another one that's playing three at the back that we struggle against. It's because of, you've got three centre-backs marking out your striker, and then they've got like four across midfield, and their wing-backs can get forward. The three The two wingers that play either side of that can also double up as well, which is what was kind of happening here. And Mason Mount was finding pockets of space, and nobody was picking him up. Nobody knew where to go with him or not. And Emi Martinez made some good saves early on to sort of keep the score down. But the whole game plan, we were flat. I mean, considering this game was a must-win, and Man United are sitting in 16th at the time, I think it was. You've got to go on the front foot. You have to. You have to. We tried to. I mean, they matched us up player for player, and you have to say that they were much better than us. Midfield, the gaps. I mean, Onana and Kamara were getting overrun in there. I mean, they had two centre midfield players in there, and then they had two other midfield players ahead of that as well. So it was almost like a box four that Man United had against our two in there, really, and it didn't kind of work out. Tactical tweaks kind of should have been made earlier. And it's just, it just wasn't a great performance. You could tell from the first 5 minutes that United were just dominating and able to get through our midfield and into our defensive line so easily. Whether it would be out wide, whether Mason Mount was popping up in little spots here in spaces. And I was screaming at the TV, just somebody pick him up. Kamara, just sit on him and just pick him up, because he's just wandering around, and he was proving a danger. So you've got Bruno Fernandes, who's always going to be a danger. Ahmad's obviously a good player as well. So, I just felt we didn't impose our game on this. And another thing that I've not come to like is the front three that we've got behind the striker. We play with very little width and pace. I mean, you've got Asensio playing in the 10, and him coming in has basically, Morgan Rogers' form has fallen off a cliff in the last couple of months, you would say, since he's been shifted out to that right kind of midfield position. He's not the same player. He needs to be in the 10. That's where Morgan Rogers is at his best. And I'm sorry, if that means that you don't play Asensio, then you don't play Asensio. You start him on the bench. But we didn't have any pace. There was nobody sort of wide right where Bailey or Marlon could have played that could progress us up the pitch. We didn't have that. McGinn was coming in narrow, which then allowed them to switch the ball out to their wing backs and get the other player 2v1 against our fullbacks and pinning McGinn back. And it was all wrong. And it was all wrong from the very start. And it was Crystal Palace all over again. It was Olympiacos all over again. It was something that Emery should have seen and maybe should have changed earlier. He should have noticed that. But then the whole game plan kind of goes out the window in stoppage time in the first half. And Matty Cash, who I've been highly critical of on this channel, and I'll continue to be, I just don't think he's of the level of player that we need. He's a good player to have, maybe as a squad player coming in every now and then. But as a first choice right back, he has so many limitations. He cannot get forward, cannot cross a ball. Okay, his one-on-one defending is okay, but his decision-making, I mean, that back pass, I mean, I don't know, even the shape of it. Why is he done it like that? How has he got it so short? If you're unsure, you can just play it down the line somewhere, even kick it out for a throw if you're unsure. But fuck me, why has he played it so short back to Emi? Emi's come charging out like some WWE star and clotheslined Rasmus Højlund to the ground, and it's 100% a red card. You can't argue that. But then you've got to say, would Emi have been better just letting Rasmus go around him, because he's obviously going wide? We were getting Powell around on the cover. Obviously, Højlund is not very confident at all. I would rather have gone 1-0 down and kept 11 men than what we did. So for me, I didn't like what I saw there. I didn't like what I saw at all. And Emi Martinez really just costing us kind of the game, really. Decision-making was not good. He shouldn't have been charging out of his box there. He should have really just kept his place back there. But it is what it is. You're hoping Emery could get them in at half-time, readdress everything, get the balance sorted out. Obviously taking off Asensio, Robin Olsen coming in goal. We're losing a player there. And then you think, okay, hopefully Emery's got a plan for second half to change something slightly. But again, from the first few minutes of the second half, it was clear that United were going to be dominating possession, which you kind of expected with the man advantage. but we just couldn't cope with it really. And they did wave after wave of attack. I think they hit the woodwork 3 or 4 times in the whole game. And we just couldn't deal with them. Just couldn't deal with them. And Rasmus Højlund almost scored a goal. Fuck me, do you know what I mean? That's how terrible we were. And you know, this Morgan Rogers incident in the 72nd minute, I think it was. It's a long punt up pitch. It's Harry Maguire getting his head to it. Back pass kind of header, I suppose. And Rogers nips in here, and Bayinda has not got this ball under control whatsoever. Not whatsoever. So he's not got the ball under control. Rogers has nipped in and managed to get the ball from the keeper and tuck it into the back of the net. And the referee's like 25 yards away and decides to blow his whistle, thinking that he's seen 2 hands and the ball's been kicked out of the keeper's hands. As a ref, you cannot just go on what you think you see. Unless you actually see it, you cannot blow your whistle. You know, don't just give yourself a second or two. And that's all it needed here. He blew his whistle just as Morgan Rogers was kicking the ball towards goal. Had he just delayed that by about 3 or 4 seconds and the ball goes in, then you can check it. But because of the inexperience of the referee, 35 years old, only 11 Premier League games under his belt, all the games that he has reffed have been like bottom end, like Southampton versus Leicester. And, you know, this is the kind of games that he's been given before. How the hell did he get given this game when there was so much riding on it? This is not work experience. You know, you're not sending a trainee in to go and feed the lions at the zoo. It's ridiculous to do that. So, and that moment there changes. I mean, we go 1-0 up and we have to defend. You know, we defend. We bring on Tyrone Mings. You bring on more defensive cover. It changes the whole dynamic of the game. But we were not allowed that opportunity. And 3 minutes later, Ahmad gets in at the far stick and heads in 1-0 to them. And by then, we're deflated. I mean, I even said it in my match reaction. When this goal was disallowed for Villa, I was kind of pleading with Emery just to bring the players off the pitch, to make a statement really about how disgusted you are. Get the game abandoned if you have to. But you know, it's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? To have that taken away from us, and the magnitude of what was at stake. Champions League, you're costing Villa 100 million plus in revenue there. You're costing Villa in terms of PSR, in terms of attracting players coming to the club, keeping players at the club. All of this now has hinged and changed. We're now in the Europa League. We're now in a competition which Spurs have won, and we have to go and win that competition now. It is a second-rate competition. Villa did well in the Champions League, and just by that one decision, because Newcastle lost their game as well, results went for us, really. You know, no one expected Everton to beat Newcastle. But it was shocking. So Ahmad gives them the lead, and then Eriksson gets a goal later on, a penalty. Maatsen just clips Ahmad as they're both going towards the ball again. Harsh decision, really. Just going away from goal. They're just running in, just sort of clip heels. It's not really an intent to foul. It's nothing really, but it's just something that the referee decided to give. So yeah, it was very disappointing on that side as well. But yeah, it's hard to take. As I said, the ramifications of it now, Europa League, it is a second-rate competition. We should be one of the favourites to win that now, but we're going to struggle to attract players of the right quality. Obviously, we had probably strategies for if we make Champions League, these are the type of players that we can go for. And if we don't make Champions League, then this is what we need to do, contingency plans. And these are maybe the players that we might need to lose. We obviously lost Dougie Luiz last season when we didn't want to. Looks like we're going to have to lose Emi Martinez. Ollie Watkins might have to go. I don't know. Obviously, Rashford's not going to hang around now. Asensio, if you're asking me honestly, will I sign Asensio now? I don't think I would, because we've seen the drop-off in Morgan Rogers so badly that it's affecting his game. And I would rather have Morgan Rogers in the 10 than Asensio and play Morgan Rogers from the right, because that doesn't do anything for us. I'd want to see someone else brought in on the right if Bailey's going, because Saudi seems to be the rumours there. Daniel Marlon hasn't had a real look in. You know, can he play on the right? We definitely need a new right back. So that right-hand side needs looking at for sure. You know, I don't know who there is available at right back, but we need definitely a massive upgrade on Matty Cash. He needs to either be content as a backup player or just move him on. And I think he'll move on. I don't think he's fit for purpose anymore in terms of what we want to do. He's fine, when he's been here for a few years, and thank you very much. But for me, nah, he needs to go. He definitely needs to go. So it's frustrating. That's the big frustrating part, is that we're now going to be stunted in terms of our progression and trajectory, and be able to attract new players to the club. You've got Newcastle in the Champions League now. You've got Chelsea in the Champions League now. Tottenham in the Champions League now. It starts as a blank canvas now, doesn't it? And players look at that and think, okay, well, I can go and join Tottenham. They've got the money. I can go join Chelsea. They've got the money. They can pay me what I want. And all of a sudden now we're looking at players who are maybe not at that sort of Champions League level, or who want to play at that level. So we've got to look at the next tier down. So it is disappointing, but I do trust Unai Emery to get this right, to go far in the Europa League. I do trust him to bring in the right players. I think he will be shrewd in the market. I think we're bringing in a new director, not director of football. He's a Chris Heck replacement. So we're bringing in him. We've got Monchi, obviously Vidagani doing their stuff, and I'm sure that they've got loads of contingency plans as well. So it's going to be a very, very, very busy summer. But guys, let me know your thoughts. Drop a comment. Do like, do subscribe, please. I will keep the content going during the off season, and transfer rumors will be coming in. So yeah, drop me a like, drop me a comment. Let me know your thoughts on the game. Let me know your thoughts on what's going forward now, and what your plans are, or what you think Villa's plans should be in the transfer market. What positions do we need to prioritize? I'm saying definitely, obviously, 2 new goalkeepers, a right back, and I think maybe striker if Watkins goes, and definitely a right midfield if Bailey goes, because we need someone out there too. But guys, until the next one, speak to you all soon. Bye for now.